I know you will be absolutely surprised to find out that our president is not entirely the most honest actor in American politics, and that he's a very hard time keeping to some of the outrageous promises he makes. Check out what happens on Fox News where they're confronted with that fact.
I'm interested, though, in Jessica and what you just said, because that was news to me.
Okay, so Defense One, I think, was the first to report it. This reporter, Thomas Novelli, I don't know. President Donald Trump's 1776 checks for more than 1 million troops announced Wednesday comes from congressionally allocated reconciliation funds intended to subsidize housing allowances for service members, a senior administration official confirmed.
So it's not from tariffs? Well, that kind of sucks.
So we're not taking the money.
You're taking the money from their housing and you're giving it to them.
So we're stealing the money from troops and then giving it back to troops.
It's just that if you're going to do
it's not a bonus. It's money they were already getting.
Spoiler alert, Jesse and Greg. Our president is full of. I mean, he might as well have said that he was going to give all of our service members bonuses from all the money Mexico was sending us to pay for that big, beautiful border wall. And Jesse Waters downplaying the level of dishonesty that comes with promising to give you a bonus from new money that we are gaining from terrorists, and then turn around and giving you money that you were already about to be given. It's like me sneaking in your closet one evening and wrapping up a bunch of junk that you already own. And on Christmas morning, I say, "Merry Christmas. Here's your junk back." Dishonest, crazy. But all this underscores a very consistent trend that's been following this president since long before he became president, which is the fact that he does not respect military. He doesn't give a piss about our veterans. He doesn't give a piss about our servicemen. That's been the most consistent thing about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump went to a military school for high school. Okay, but he didn't serve. He avoided service in Vietnam. He said he had bone spurs. Then he said avoiding STDs was his Vietnam. Then he said John McCain was not a war hero. Right. Then he said troops are suckers and losers and are war dead. Yes, he did. He was going to a World War I cemetery. My grandfather fought in World War I and was wounded in Europe for this country.
That's been proven to be
false.
false.
And I honor your service and I honor his. And Trump pisses on our veterans and our military every day. Yes, he does.
So not only does Donald Trump have a long-standing history of cowardice and disrespect to the men and women who give their lives in defense of this nation, he's also, and his whole administration is, extremely incompetent. He promises to support them, and then he lies that he doesn't, and then he lies about it and just assumes they're too stupid to realize that, okay, you're paying me with money you ripped out of my left pocket. So not only does he do all this, he also uses other arms of the federal government to punish them. For example, he deports them.
How many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Se-Jun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old.
I'm sure you've seen that video of Secretary Kristi Noem being shocked, but not overly concerned to find out that she thrice deported veterans, U.S. veterans, and family members of U.S. veterans. Whoops. And did you hear our president issue a full-throated denunciation, criticism of the Department of Homeland Security and Secretary Kristi Noem? Did you hear that? Because I surely didn't. And it's not like he's bashful about doing stuff like that. He does it all the time when people piss him off, even people in his administration. The thing here is he don't care. He does not give a piss. And not only that, he's getting ready to get our men and women in service killed to make his donors richer.
Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Why in the hell are we in Venezuela? Even my right-wing Republican friends, try saying that 3 times fast, even they are confused. And when you ask the president, he gives that crazy response like he did just then, which was, I don't know, oil, drugs, land. Who cares? I have a bunch of toys, I want to play with them. And regime change seems sort of fun. Well, the problem is for him, it's sort of unconstitutional for him to do it without Congress.
The answer is that this is not about drugs. This is about regime change. And we also have the White House Chief of Staff on record saying that this is about regime change. It has nothing to do with drugs. I rise today in strong support of this resolution. I am proud to co-lead Ranking Member Meeks' effort and urge all of my colleagues to join us today in reasserting this body's constitutional authority on matters of war and peace. Because let's be perfectly clear, only Congress has the power to declare war. The Trump administration's military escalation in the Caribbean is not only reckless, it is blatantly illegal. We cannot allow this kind of dangerous overreach to go unchecked. Trump, a president who touts himself as a global peacemaker, has appointed himself as judge, jury, and executioner in the Western Hemisphere. This brutal military campaign, which has killed more than 90 people, further threatens a region that has already been destabilized by decades of U.S. intervention. And it risks driving us into further war in Venezuela. The American people across the political spectrum have been clear that they do not want to fight and fund another war. With this vote, every member of Congress has the chance to show the American people where they stand. Will they enable Trump's illegal lawmaking, or will they stand on the side of the Constitution?
That was Representative Ilhan Omar, who was reminding us that, A, we have a Congress in this country. I know many of us forgot about that fact because they've been sleeping so peacefully for about 2 years now. And that, B, it's Congress's right and power alone to declare war. But unfortunately for all of us, we have a president who is an authoritarian and escaped lunatic who doesn't care what the Constitution says about this or anything else. And he also doesn't care about risking the lives and limbs of our service members. He would just as soon have each and every one of them killed or starve and make a quick buck than he would to care about them. And unfortunately, it seems as though that the entirety of the Republican Party, with the exception of a few like Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, seem perfectly willing and able to go right along with him and not put a stop to this foolishness.